Been focusing a lot on the United States, especially on the legal front lately, but it always seems like towards the end of the week we gotta check in with stupid Canada, and this one right here is it's right up there. It really is. A doctor clinically diagnosed BC woman with climate change. Let me run that back in case that didn't stick quite as well as you thought it might. Doctor clinically diagnosed a BC woman, okay? Clinically diagnosed. So his medical opinion is that a woman is suffering from climate change. Fuck this country. A doctor has clinically diagnosed a British Columbian to be suffering from climate change, according to the Times Colonist. Interesting. The woman is the first medical case of climate change in the world because it doesn't make any sense. Take a look at the underlying conditions and see if you could theorize if there's anything else that's there. According to BC doctors, the poor air quality and heat waves were responsible for her condition. Okay, cool. Does she have like asthma or something? Or maybe some other sort of respiratory issues? She a great big fat person and incredible heat is uncomfortable. Up here in Grand Prairie, in like northern Alberta, at least if you take a look at the map and assess the longitudinal address, fair to say we're right on the brink of the Arctic Circle. I think that quantifies as being north. During the summer, we also experienced like a week of 40 to 50 degree weather, Celsius, by the way. Adjust accordingly, my friends to the south. And we've been flirting with like high 30s, low 40s for years, for as long as I can remember, at least a sustained portion of time between the end of June through probably mid-August. There's always a week or two that always flirts with that level of weather. Was it probably a little bit warmer than it has been in the past? Yeah, I've never quite seen a 50 above marker on any temperature scale. But it's also very interesting because, in a few months' time, we're also going to be running back at the 50 below weather as well, 40 and 50. But again, if you just address something and you just try to, make history and grab some headlines, congratulations, you did that. But you also could take a look. I don't think diagnosing anybody with climate change is really going to help with, maybe some type of lung condition if this person can't breathe, or maybe if BC just decided to do some forest management, the same place wouldn't burn for a third year in a row. Who knows what the spring holds? Hopefully a lot more heat waves so we can all just fucking die and get this over with. The decision comes in the wake of comments made by the head of the emergency department in Nelson, BC, who said the conditions triggered by smoke and heat amount to suffering from climate change. That's a place that burned in 2019, 2020, and then again in 2021. Let's see if they can make it for a fourth time in a row. Like a Bills trip to a Super Bowl in the 90s. Hundreds of people across the province have died over the summer from heat waves and wildfires in Canada's most western province. One heat wave in June was the hottest in Canadian history. Cool. If we're not looking at an underlying cause, it's probably something a doctor should do, and we're just treating symptoms, we're going to keep falling further and further behind, said one doctor. You should take your own advice. You seem to be onto something there. We're in the emergency department. We look at everybody, and the most privileged and the most vulnerable. How about you just help people based on, their injuries and their conditions and not their privilege? Sack of shit. From cradle to grave. Ugh, whenever I hear anybody on the government tit talk about that type of stuff, it just sends a shiver up my spine. We see everybody and it's hard to see people. You probably shouldn't be a doctor if you can't see people. Especially the most vulnerable people in our society being affected, said this blithering queer. As a consequence of the staggering number of illnesses relating to the extreme BC heat, doctors are petitioning municipal governments to put air conditioning outside. Governments in the province to declare a national emergency. Yeah, it's November. Good luck with that. Let's go one province to the east. And it's weird to be talking about the east and Alberta in the same sentence, but it's pretty much all just one homogeneous landmass at this point because there's really no differentiation when it comes to politics. But at least somebody, Lac St. Anne, so that's right around the Edmonton area. I'm not exactly terribly familiar with that, with central Alberta, more like southern and northern, because Edmonton is just AIDS. But it looks like somebody at least has the right idea in their crops. Justin Trudeau sucks ass. Love to see it. A video has gone viral on the social media platform TikTok showing a farmer's field with Justin Trudeau sucks ass written on the ground. That's awesome. It really is. Even though a TikTok is distilled cancer, some good things happen in unexpected places. Video has received 1.6 million views on TikTok. TikTok is fucking weird because I don't know what their algorithmic manipulation is, but it seems like just absolutely banal content can go absolutely viral. I don't even know what TikTok is. Okay, I know what it is, but I don't know what it is. You get what I mean? Addressing the underlying condition, if I can just steal a line from a doctor from BC, I wouldn't even know what to do with it, okay? Mostly because I'm 31 and not a 15-year-old girl. But I guess it's Canada. I can also just get doctor's advice. If I can steal one of his lines, I can get his advice and identify as a 15-year-old girl. It's a weird place. Oh, with 166,000 likes and over 3,000 comments. According to the creator of the video, it seems to have taken place about 5 miles north of Lac St. Anne in Alberta, a few hours west of Edmonton. Yeah, that's what I thought. Creator of the video said that air traffic had increased in the area after the farmer engraved this slogan. An accurate one. Sucks ass, takes it in the, eats, all of that kind of fun stuff. You can just change it with the seasons if you want. Although the video seems authentic, the post-millennial has not yet confirmed whether it's legitimate. Well, it's TikTok. You got to go through the CCP in order to authenticate any of that stuff. Western Canada, and Alberta in particular, has long been upset with Trudeau's leadership. Yeah, the people, not the government. They've just kind of bent the knee to it. In the 2021 election, Alberta only elected one Liberal MP, and that was a very late call, and that was in Edmonton. Like I said, absolute cancer. The vast majority, the consensus from Manitoba, Ontario border, all the way to the BC interior have Conservative representation in Ottawa. Yeah, and most of Ontario. It's just the GTA area, okay? The little dangly dick off of Canada that ends up fucking us all right in the ass. How appropriate. Now, we're going to address somebody who I hold in incredibly high regard. Somebody, if there is a face of this country at this point, it probably just should be Jordan Peterson. And he is not fond of Trudeau. He hasn't been fond of Trudeau for years. Right at the ass end of one of his interviews with Patrick Bet-David on the Valuetainment channel. I'm pretty sure it is the first interview that he's had on there. He's had 3 in total. A sent-down interview. He excoriated Trudeau, and it was glorious and it was accurate, saying that he hadn't earned the right to wield his father's name because he hadn't appropriately gained the necessary experience to do as much. Paraphrasing, of course, but it's accurate. And Trudeau is a fake and a fraud and a phony. And he slams Trudeau's mishandling of the pandemic. Whenever I see this headline, I always just think of those Twitter weirdos who always think, oh, Ron DeSantis' mishandling of the pandemic. What, lower case numbers and lower hospitalizations anywhere else? Cool. Or Greg Abbott in Texas' mishandling of the pandemic. And it's like, so what can Jordan Peterson tell us about Trudeau's mishandling of the pandemic? Quite a lot. He's had a very, very, very good idea as to how this should end. Give people a set date. This is when we're going to lift all the restrictions. Fucking deal with it yourself. I think that's pretty based. Dr. Jordan Peterson unloaded on Canada's response to the COVID pandemic to host Dave Rubin, somebody who he also went on tour around the entire world with, and somebody who he has a lot of rapport with, so I might be checking out this interview. In a recent episode of the Rubin Report, where he criticized his country's policies as well as its political leaders, as he should. Peterson says he spoke with a senior advisor to one of the provincial parties, so maybe Ontario, that would make sense, who told him that COVID's policy is driven by nothing but opinion polls. That would make sense, why there's just harder and harder restrictions, because 78%, I remember that specifically, of people surveyed for Canada, which was like a tiny swath of people that you could goddamn well bet were mostly in large cities or even specifically in the GTA area that supported harsh measures. So, of course, why wouldn't the rest of the country have to deal with the decision-making capacity of the place that only likes Justin Trudeau, specifically just that area? Policy is being driven by people who are more afraid than they should be, said Peterson. I wouldn't say I'm cynical about governments exactly, but I still found that extremely disheartening, he said. I thought at least policies that I don't agree with, the restrictive policies, were at least driven by something remotely resembling a scientifically informed plan, and the senior advisor was irate at what had been happening, enough to consider resigning, Peterson said, the unnamed government source. Peterson said that the thing that surprised him most was how rapidly we stampeded to imitate totalitarian state in the immediate aftermath of the release of COVID, and particularly the breakdown of our rights of mobility for freedom of speech. Where's the lie? Everything seems to be on the up and up here. It's particularly grating on me in a Canadian context, said Peterson, speaking of the Bill of Rights made by Pierre Trudeau. Yup. Of which he said he was not a fan. Oh good, still an Alberta boy at heart. Now we have his son, and it's like, yeah, what's it good for? It's extraordinarily annoying to see this happening, and then to find out that it's nothing behind it besides the most instrumental and cowardly random polling is extremely disheartening, and also maddening and angering. All of those things at once. He's voicing exactly what I'm feeling. That's why I feel such a kinship to him. Of actual polling data, Peterson said that, of course, the polling is out of whack. You don't say, oh, that's something that a far right-wing person would say. Whatever. How do you get accurate polling data? Who answers the poll calls when you do the polls? How do you construct the question? So it's not guidance from the polls, it's a quasi-informed random walk. That's a lot easier than thinking it through. Canadians that are unvaccinated cannot leave the country. Like, what the hell? Why is that? That's for true. You can't even take a plane or a train across the country. I got vaccinated. People who took me to task for not being vaccinated. So I thought, alright, I'll get the damn vaccine. Ugh. Here's the deal, guys. I get the vaccine. You're fucking leaving me alone. And did that work? No. So stupid me. If he actually swore, once again, I gotta listen to it, because it's always just, it's not jarring, it's kind of like an elderly aunt or somebody who's normally prim and proper just dropping an F-bomb. It just elicits a certain reaction that's just always a little bit heartwarming. That's how I feel about it. Like, now I have to get tested for COVID when I come back to Canada, and when I leave Canada. The restrictions to get into Canada are even more stringent than the Americans. True. As of now, there's no way for an unvaccinated Canadian to board a flight to leave Canada, even with the purpose of moving. Yup. The government of Canada's website states that you're unable to provide proof of vaccination or a valid COVID-19 test result. You will not be allowed to travel. Oh, don't worry, the testing option is getting removed. If you indicate that your airline or railway that you're eligible to board but fail to provide proof, you could also face penalties or fines. Canada is right proper fucked. And that's why I'm plotting my exit, but a lot of things gotta break in my direction that really aren't. So, who knows? I'm pretty smart. I'll fucking figure it out, I guess. But yeah, hopefully we got something a little bit more positive to talk about next, and not HIV positive, because I already feel weak enough as it is. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.